and David are visiting Grandma's apartment in Midtown Manhattan.
I just recently had a very unique experience.
Like what, Grandma?
It was something totally new for me.
Tell us. The suspense is killing me.
As I was walking back from my hairdresser's a few blocks away, someone spotted me and hired me.
Hired you to do what, Mother?
To be on a music video with a famous rock star. Oh, but I forget the name.
Cool. Did they make you dance?
No, they just made me stand in the background with several other bystanders.
That could only happen in New York.
You know, I don't feel I'm 81. It's no joke.
I believe you, Mother. You certainly don't act your age.
Well, I don't intend to. To act younger is, in a very real sense, to be younger.
Just watching you, Grandma, I realize that old doesn't necessarily mean feeble.
Of course it doesn't. I resent it when I go down the stairs and people want to hold my arm.
Yeah, you can do the same things you've always done.
Right. It just takes me a little longer.
Is being 81 what you thought it would be, Grandma?
Certainly not. I never imagined myself in a sweatsuit, let alone in a bathing suit.
I didn't know you still swam, Mother.
I happen to still thrive on competition, dear. I'm as earnest as those young women at the health club in black leotards.
So there it is. That's the secret of Grandma's health and longevity.
It's pretty evident you're living a very healthy life and all, but I do worry about you living alone.
Just what are you getting at, Todd?
Dad wants you to come and live with him, Grandma.
Well, I'm flattered that you've asked me.
You've been awfully lucky so far, Mother. You haven't been ill. You haven't fallen and broken a hip or anything.
Yes, I mustn't forget to count my blessings. But I'll take you up on that offer when I feel more vulnerable. As for now, I'm having the time of my life.
And now let's go on to the older audience.
Todd and David are talking in Grandma's living room.
You know, I tried calling you several times last week. I wanted to warn you about the flood.
The flood? What flood?
Didn't you hear about it on the news? There was a major storm somewhere in upstate New York. I hope your cabin hasn't been washed away.
I'm sure my neighbor would have informed me about it.
Grandma watches the news all day. She knows more about what's happening than any of us.
I just like to keep up with what's going on in the world.
Mother, don't you think you should watch something other than the news? Some of those stories are so disturbing.
Yeah. No wonder you can't sleep at night, Grandma.
I would gladly switch to another channel if there were something more appealing.
Isn't there anything you like?
You see, I have a hard time identifying with the hip and cool stuff.
There must be entertainment programs geared to your generation.
Only a few. I've discovered one show featuring old stars.
You would think that there'd be more programs aimed at the older audience.
Wrong. Television networks and especially advertisers have always left us out.
You're right. They've always targeted the 18 to 49 group.
I don't get it. Why's that?
That's just the way it's always been done.
It probably started when they were advertising to cavemen. They never lived past 49.
Dad, that means you're going to be excluded soon.
Hopefully, the demographics will change by the time I reach 49.
Sure they will. There's too much silver in the silver market.
Silver?
Who do you think buys all the new cars and goes on overseas package tours?
You and your friends.
So the advertisers may as well face up to the facts. I'm sure they'll eventually respect us for our economic power.
Jeff, Living with an elderly parent has entirely changed my perspective on aging.
Really?
I now realize how strongly the elderly people wish to lead a relatively independent life. Of course, they need someone to do their daily housekeeping, but apart from that, they want to live at home, surrounded by the comfort of their familiar setting.
Hey, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I love being at home. But is it always possible in the case of the elderly?
Well, that's the problem. If my mother ever fell out of her bed and injured her hip or something, because I work, I know that I won't be able to attend to her 24 hours a day. Also, knowing my mother, she would never want to stay at an adult daycare center.
Oh.
So, for someone in my mother's position, her choice is sure to be home health care.
Right. Well, I guess that's why home health care services are already one of the fastest growing industries in the U.S. and Japan. But, it's a hard call, isn't it?
It is. I'm sure nobody feels good about leaving their parents in the hands of someone else. But I feel more comfortable about home care after having talked with my friends who've used these professional services. But of course, when the time comes, I'd ask my mother to make the choices. I know that if she's pleased, she won't give up on life. Making sure that the elderly are happy, that's what it's all about. And we all owe that much to our parents.
Very true. Whatever the demographics are, some things don't change. So let's go on and listen to retirement communities.
Kelly, Toby, and Todd walk into a store in the city.
Brr, it's freezing today.
It's cold enough to make you want to flee to the south.
I bet we'll all end up in Florida when we retire.
Not me. I'd rather live in New York than in some retirement community.
But think of how warm and peaceful it would be in Florida.
That's just it. Those retirement communities are 1,000,000 miles from nowhere. They're so isolated. Everyone starts to go to seed.
The problem with those places is that you're limited once you stop driving.
At least in New York, an elderly person can get everywhere without driving.
And there's always something going on within walking distance.
What if my legs become frail?
Hey, you can get whatever you want delivered to your door. And that includes a personal trainer.
You know, my 81-year-old mother still makes her rounds everywhere all by herself. You know, to the bank, the doctor, her class in calligraphy.
She must be proud of managing her own affairs.
Now that's important. In New York, you can age with dignity.
Let's just say you can live on your own terms if you have the health and a modest income.
I still feel that New York offers older adults more opportunities to be autonomous than any place in the world.
But New York isn't quite equipped to handle senior citizens like your mother. Many of them don't need a nursing home yet, but they need some help.
What the city needs to provide are basic housekeeping services and meals for the older citizens.
And it would be nice to be able to hire a home attendant.
Do you suppose that'll be possible by the time we are 70?
It'd better be, if they don't want me to move to Florida.
Okay, let's hear about age discrimination.
At a coffee bar, Todd bumps into someone he knew when he was an investment banker.
Is that you, Larry?
Todd? What a pleasant surprise!
I almost didn't recognize you. How are you?
Fine, and how about yourself?
I'm fine. Do you still work for that accounting giant?
Actually, no. I was laid off last month.
Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is this another case of downsizing?
Well, from my standpoint, it's a case of age discrimination. We call it age sizing these days.
Are you telling me that you lost your job because of your age?
Yep. I was deemed too old by the firm.
Too old? You're only 46. You weren't sleeping on the job, were you?
No, I wouldn't be so peeved if I had been. The company says it's all a matter of economics.
Were they reducing the workforce?
Something like that. From all I can gather, long-term employees with larger salaries are first to be dismissed.
Can the company get away with that? Isn't there a law protecting senior workers from being hired and fired based on age?
Sure there is. So, I'm debating whether to file a complaint and take it to court or let the whole thing pass.
What's stopping you from taking it to court?
Todd, the firm won't admit to age bias in court. Besides, life's too short. I'm interested in conquering new worlds.
You can bet that age discrimination is going to affect the majority of us baby boomers.
True, and all of us will be over 40 in a few years.
We should bring about a revolution. You know, in the way age is valued in the workplace.
And for starters, I guess I should file my complaint.
Right on. Show them that we won't go down without a fight.
You know, you sure have a funny way of cheering people up.
Jeff, I met your mother a while ago, and she seems very young.
Thank you. She's a very young 72 and still going strong.
What do you think keeps her that way?
Younger man.
What?
Don't get the wrong idea. I'm talking about her grandchildren in town, all boys. Besides that, Mom's proactive, not passive. She gets involved in the community and makes friends.
People, personal contacts are really the key, aren't they?
I think so. One of her friends who passed away last year was making pottery at the age of 105.
What vitality.
She attributes it all to chocolate and young men.
Wow.
And another friend is 87 and surfs year-round in her wetsuit.
I'm glad you didn't say snowboards.
Who knows? She probably blades to her local gym. It wouldn't surprise me all that much. I see plenty of vigorous elderly people climbing mountains in Chichibu. So we need to change our image of the elderly.
Exactly.
And now let's change our topic to community. First, let's hear about the suburban landscape.